Welcome, welcome. This is On the Sevens with Pythris B. Metatron. I am Pythris B. Metatron, your hostess with the mostest. Today is a good damn day to be me. You know what? Every day is a good damn day to be me. Now, we're not going to have our homie the clown moment like we are famous for. That was hilarious. But I want everybody to keep yourself on mute or to say it silently to yourself, but just repeat this to yourself. Today is a good damn day to be me. Now, every day is a good damn day to be me. Oh, I'm so thankful and grateful for the faces that are here today. Honeybee, it is good to have you on the call. I'm going to come to you in a minute, but right now I'm going to put my family on Front Street first because my cousin from Los Angeles, her name is on there. I can pronounce both of them, but I know her as Prini. Letitia Meisenheimer, thank you. Unmute yourself, and thank you for joining, and thank you for coming by. Cuzzo, how you doing? Happy New Year. If you talking, you have to unmute yourself. If not, I got you. I appreciate you. Honeybee, how you doing? Thank you for showing up. I'm glad that you are spending a portion of your off day here with On the Sevens with Pythris B. Metatron. How you doing?
I'm good. I wouldn't miss it. How you doing?
I am very well. I'm operating between 88 and 97%, which is where Pythris B. Metatron always hangs out. So I'm grateful and thankful. I'm almost done with this bad cold that I have had dealing with for almost 3 weeks. That's all it was a bad cold. I don't care what nobody else says, but we are not going to go into any of that. It is good to have you here. It's good to have you back on the call. Blessings and greetings for the new calendar year of 2022 to you, Miss Honeybee.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Auntie.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I knew you was gonna be on this call today. I don't know how, but I knew.
I wasn't gonna miss it.
I know you was on, but I knew you were gonna be here.
Well, good. Well, today, again, this is our second show back from my little hiatus. We are going to finish up the 2022 forecast. Then I'm gonna talk a little bit about America and what she got coming really soon. And then I'm gonna ask you folks a couple of questions about what it is next that you guys would like to learn in numerology, because it's easy for me to just go down a list. However, I don't want to lose any of y'all, and I want it to become a little bit more interactive and a little, so you guys, I'm going to be asking you, so think about this throughout the call. What is it that you guys would like to learn about numerology? All right. Today we have a treat. We have a practicing astrologer, been practicing over 25 years. He's going to come and give us a forecast on Mercury and its comings and goings for the year of 2022 and other astrological insights that I believe will be very, very pertinent and poignant and positive for each one of us that's on this call. So without further ado, I turn it over to Victorious. There you go.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
How you doing? So as Mark told you, my name is Justel Kane, also known as Victorious. I am a practicing astrologer. I've been practicing for over 25 years. During the course of my career, I've done astrology readings for people from all walks of life. And today we are going to be discussing Mercury Retrograde. But before we jump into that topic, I also want to point out something really quickly, because Mark just mentioned that he was recovering from probably Flurona. for the past 3 weeks. And I just kind of want to point out that Mercury it rules the respiratory system. And so it rules our breathing. It also rules the hands. And so I think that's really interesting that it took you literally about 3 weeks to recover from your cold, because that's how long Mercury takes to make one complete transit through a sign. So just something to be mindful of. So anyway, let's jump into today's topic. We're going to be talking about Mercury's retrograde. And today we are going to start off with Mercury's transits. So with that in mind, it takes 88 days for Mercury to complete one transit around the sun. And it takes roughly 3 weeks, again, for Mercury to transit through one sign. It takes about 2 days for Mercury to complete one transit. So like we have something in astrology called degrees. And so it takes about 2 days for Mercury to complete 1 degree. Mercury is strongest in the signs of Gemini, Virgo, and Aquarius, and it works harder in the signs of Sagittarius and Pisces and Leo. Mercury is associated with the god, or the Roman god, Hermes, also known as the trickster god. So if you know anybody that is born under the sign of Gemini, you'll know that they have a sense of humor, can be a little mischievous, and they like to play pranks on people. So with that in mind, Mercury rules over the lower mind. It also rules Gemini and the third house. It rules communication, thinking, conversations, learning, perception, listening, and talking. And I hate to say it, one of my guilty pleasures, a little bit of gossip, but not in a bad way. I used to just like to read some of those star magazines and things like that. On a more mundane level, Mercury also rules emails, letters, text messages, delivery services, travel, transportation, siblings, and neighbors. And the reason why I wanted to give you some keywords to think on, so that when you go through the Mercury retrograde cycle, these are things that are going to be influenced by this particular Mercury retrograde, or not this particular Mercury retrograde, but during any Mercury retrograde. So this year, let's do a little overview for the Mercury retrograde for this year. So in general, Mercury's retrograde lasts, I'm looking at something else. Every year, Mercury takes about 3 to 4 years. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I'm getting a little nervous. You guys.
All right. You're doing fine.
So every year, Mercury retrogrades about 3 to 4 times a year. Last year, we had 3 Mercury retrogrades in air signs. This year, in 2022, we're going to have 4 Mercury retrogrades and air signs, and both Earth and air signs. The first Mercury retrograde that we're going to have is going to happen January 14th to February 3rd. And it's going to begin at 10 degrees Aquarius and end at 24 degrees Capricorn. The second Mercury retrograde that we're going to have this year is going to start May 5th and end January 6th. This cycle begins in 4 degrees Gemini and ends in 26 degrees Taurus. The third one is going to happen on September 9th and end October 2nd. And this one is going to begin at 8 degrees Libra and end at 24 degrees Libra. The final Mercury retrograde that we're going to have this year is only going to happen in the sign of Capricorn, but it's going to be from the dates of December 29th to January 18th. So with the exception of the last Mercury retrograde, all of our Mercury retrogrades this year is going to take place in both air and earth signs. So people that are going to be influenced during this particular Mercury retrograde cycle are going to be people that are born during the first week of air signs, the last week of earth signs, and people with natal planets influenced by the above mentioned degrees. So perfect example, when Mercury retrogrades this year in Aquarius at 10 degrees, it's going to take place in my 10th house, and it's going to conjunct my midheaven. So it's going to be a difference in 1 degree. So that's a really powerful influence. So this year's particular Mercury retrograde is going to happen in my 10th house, which is the house of career. So this gives me an opportunity to go back and reflect on anything that's relating to my career. And definitely it needs some reflection. So, which I'm so happy I'm having an opportunity to do this, because this is actually what I want to do for a living. So all that to say is that one of the most important things that you want to know is where Mercury is going to be in your particular natal chart to find out how it's going to be influencing you. So with that said, every Mercury retrograde, it goes through 3 cycles. So if Mercury is conjoined one of your planets during the retrograde cycle, it's going to cross that degree 3 times. Those 3 connections will first offer you a chance to meet these issues up close and personal. Second, you're going to get an opportunity to rework them. And then finally, you'll have an opportunity to resolve them. So whenever we have a Mercury retrograde, it works 3-fold. And these are the 3 things that you're going to be faced with when you come to that Mercury retrograde. Any questions? No? Okay. So let's talk a little about Mercury retrograde zones, which a lot of people don't talk about. So the term retrograde literally means backwards. So before Mercury can change directions, it slows down before switching gears. So a perfect example is, let's think about Mercury as a car. And let's say Mercury is traveling at 88 degrees. And I use that being funny, but Mercury is a fast moving planet. So it likes speed. So say for instance, Mercury is traveling, it's going 88 degrees and 88 miles per hour. And all of a sudden it decides that it wants to go in another direction. Well, if you're in a car and Mercury is a car, you can't just throw your car in reverse while you're traveling at 88 degrees, right? So before Mercury can actually go in reverse, it has to slow down, then stop, and then it can reverse. And this is exactly what Mercury does before it goes retrograde. So about 2 weeks before, Mercury will slow down, completely stop, and that's what we call a Mercury retrograde. And then it'll move backwards for 3 weeks. And technically it doesn't really move backwards, but if you want more information about the technicalities of how Mercury retrograde, you can go to YouTube or you can Google it, and there's tons of information on it. I don't want to go into all the details, but I did want to give you a little bit of analogy of what Mercury does. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because as we speak, we are literally in Mercury Shadow. Sometimes people refer to this period as a pre-shadow or a post-shadow Mercury retrograde, depending on if it's moving forwards or backwards, but this is the period that we're in now. So with all that said, if you've been feeling a little off kiltered or a little fuzzy, it's because we are really or currently already experiencing the Mercury retrograde. So with that in mind, the Mercury shadow dates for this particular period started December 29th, 2021, and it's going to last until January 14th when Mercury goes retrograde. And then the post-shadow retrograde starts February 2nd, and then that's going to last till February 23rd. 23rd. So a lot of times people think that Mercury just goes retrograde and it starts at that point. No, we're experiencing Mercury retrograde almost 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. So the entire cycle can last anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks. So just keep that in mind. So this Mercury retrograde is going to happen again in Aquarius and Capricorn. So people born under those signs are going to be highly influenced by that particular retrograde period.
That's all up in my kitchen. That's
in your kitchen.
all up in my kitchen right there, boy. I can feel it coming already too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
know you can because we already in Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about some aspects that Mercury is going to be making, but I'll mention that at the end of this presentation. So with that in mind, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, to give you a brief overview. So Mercury rules the lower mind. Aquarius is the ruler of Uranus. Uranus is also a higher octave of Mercury. So Uranus is like Mercury on steroids. Uranus rules over the future, science, technology, the internet, electricity, revolution, rebellion, unexpected events, and natural disasters. So I point that out, and the reason why I really wanted to highlight the revolutions and the rebellions, because even though you don't hear about it a lot here on the news, there are rebellions and revolutions going on over in other countries due to these mandates. So just be a little conscious of that. And it's only before it happens here. So, but that's a whole other subject. So according to tarot.com, when Mercury goes retrograde in Aquarius, not only will communication and travel get hectic, but we can also expect an added dose of mayhem when it comes to our technology. After all, Aquarius rules electricity, technology, and the internet. So when Mercury goes retrograde in the sign, it is possible that we will experience extra frustration with mishaps in these areas. To avoid making a purchase that leads to regret, hold off on buying any new electronics until after Mercury goes direct. There is an upside to this though. During this time, it is a good time. It is a time when our most innovative ideas will go through an overhaul. If we've had any out there thoughts or just way out thoughts, this is our chance to reassess them before we reveal them to the world. Our most powerful dreams and aspirations may come up for review, and we can use this transit to discard whatever we no longer need or whatever is not working in our reality. So, to give you an overview about Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, because remember I said this is going to take place in 2 signs. Now, just to give you a little bit of history, this is not common, it's not uncommon, because it really just depends on the degree that Mercury is going to be retrograding. But normally Mercury doesn't always retrograde in 2 planets. And so for those of you that are familiar with astrology, to get a little bit of a recap of what these particular Mercury retrogrades are going to be, what we're going to experience in these particular retrogrades periods during the air signs, you can go back and look to see what Mercury was doing last year to kind of get a preview of what to expect this year. And also I want you to be cognitive of the fact that at the end of this year, Mercury is also going to be retrograding in Capricorn. So towards the middle of this particular retrograde, pay attention to what Mercury is doing when it transitions into Capricorn, because then it'll give you a preview as to what to expect at the end of the year. So with that being said, Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It tells us about our ability to respond. Saturn rules career, limitations, boundaries, responsibilities, discipline, maturity, and wisdom. So these are key things to focus on when Mercury retrogrades in Capricorn. When Mercury retrogrades through Capricorn specifically, it targets the area of life Capricorn rules: career, ambition, and our public status. You may experience setbacks in work, clashes with authority, we already see that coming, or suffering a blow to your image. But there's always something good that you can take from Mercury retrograde too. And Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is a good time to look back on your professional life and assess where changes are needed. If you're not happy with the direction you're headed in, this is a good time to revise plans or a path that you experienced in the past to try to make it make more sense. So this is really a good time for you to look back at your past and think about what it is that you want to manifest in the future, especially since Mercury is in future-oriented Aquarius. So what to do during Mercury retrograde? Make sure you back up all electronic devices, clear out clutter, repair your cars, do some home repairs, catch up with friends, visit places that you've been before. The one thing you don't necessarily want to do during a Mercury retrograde is go somewhere that you've never been before. And I say that a little casually, you know, and I usually don't tell people not to travel during Mercury retrograde because it seems like every time I've traveled, now that I think about it, Mercury was always retrograde. Not always, but a lot of times Mercury was retrograde. So I dare not tell you not to travel, but, you know, try to go somewhere familiar. But the one thing you don't want to do during a Mercury retrograde is make the plans to travel. So don't book a flight. You know, you might want to review where you want to go, but I would highly suggest that you don't make that plan until after Mercury is retrograde. You also don't want to sign contracts. This is actually a really good time to review contracts. You don't want to make important dates such as weddings or major presentations and things like that. And then this is also a good time to finish up old projects. I also mentioned that this is a good time to catch up with friends. I don't know, we've all been through a lot of Mercury retrogrades, but I can remember looking back on a lot of my Mercury retrogrades, I tend to hear from people that I haven't heard from in a long time. So saying all of that, don't be surprised if you hear from people that you normally don't hear from or haven't heard from in a long time, especially with Venus, also being retrograde. So you'll probably end up hearing from some old lovers too. So what to avoid during Mercury retrograde is purchasing a car, purchasing electronic devices like computers, cell phones, and tablets, maybe even TVs. Again, don't sign contracts, don't plan trips to anywhere important, don't travel to new places. And sometimes we can't help that. And I don't want you to put off things that you can't help just because Mercury is retrograde, but just be smart about it. And also be cognitive about traveling on tight schedules. So those are just a few of the things to just be mindful of. Before I wrap up, I just kind of want to mention a couple of important aspects that Mercury is going to be making when it retrogrades at 10 degrees Aquarius. So Saturn is also is going to be at 13 degrees Aquarius. So it's going to be forming a conjunction to Saturn and Capricorn, and it's also going to be forming a square to Uranus. So this is really significant because, again, we're having this retrograde, this particular Mercury retrograde in both Aquarius and Capricorn. And the two planets that it's going to be forming major aspects with is actually going to be making connection to those two signs. Also, at the end of Mercury retrograde station, or before it starts to move forward, it's going to station within 2 degrees of Pluto. So Pluto, if you don't know, is the planet of transformation, destruction, change on a global level. So I'm not going to go too deep into these aspects, but for people that are interested in learning more about that, these are actually things that you can Google or you can contact me if you need more information about it. But those are just a few things that I wanted to point out about Mercury retrograde. And so if you want to see how Mercury is going to be influencing you during this particular year, you can send me an email to iamvictorious@gmail.com and just send me your full name, date of birth, and your location of birth, and I will send you a free retrograde report.
Well, look at there. Yay.
Any questions?
Amazing job.
I have one. I got one question. But if somebody else has a question before me, you could go. Anybody? Okay. You mentioned what to expect during the retrograde and how it will make you feel What about those of us that were born with Mercury retrograde, born on the retrograde?
So I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something that came up that I didn't get a chance to include in my presentation. So the interesting thing about people born under Mercury retrograde is actually you feel at home during a Mercury retrograde. So you're right at home during a Mercury retrograde. And things seem to actually come in more into focus for individuals. Ironically, I've dated a few guys, which I thought was really funny. And I just recently learned that my dad had Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
And it was the only retrograde planet that he had.
Wow.
Yeah. Or not. Yeah, it was the only retrograde planet that he had in his chart. So for people that are born under a Mercury retrograde, yeah, you actually are probably at your best during Mercury retrograde.
Absolutely.
Especially if you have planets that are connected to that particular Mercury retrograde during that time. Also, I wanted to point out something else too, because a lot of people think that like, oh my gosh, Mercury is retrograde, the world's coming to an end. That's not always the case. I actually, after studying astrology for 25 years, I have actually come to appreciate Mercury's retrogrades. And the reason why I say that is because Mercury retrogrades, or any retrograde planet for that matter, it gives us an opportunity to go back and fix things that needs to be fixed, to repair things that needs to be repaired, to review things. It gives us an opportunity to refocus on different things in our lives. So when it's all said and done, if you just sit back and embrace it and don't let it overwhelm you, like you're gonna have hiccups. There are gonna be moments where traffic may be a little hectic and you running late, but when Mercury is retrograde, just make provisions for that, and you might need to leave 20 minutes early. So astrology is not here to dictate our life. Astrology, or micromanage our life for that matter. Astrology is a tool that you can use to make informed decisions. So again, knowing that Mercury is going to be retrograde and is already in its retrograde shadow zone, this is an opportunity for us to sit back and reflect. Normally during the beginning of the year, we're ready to push off and, get the whole year started. And this is going to be like a life-changing experience. But if you really kind of think about it, the new year really doesn't start until spring. So I say all of that. So for those of you that think that you're ready to take off running, this is not the time to do that. Mm-hmm. So I would probably wait until March, closer to the new year, the actual new year, and not based on the calendar that we go by, but because of Mercury, the retrograde cycle, if you can put off making major decisions, I would highly suggest you wait until after February 23rd.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, anybody that that would like to receive the report for free, just send me, hit me up at iamvictorious@gmail.com.
Free means with a donation too. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
If it's in your heart, it's fine. It takes me 5 minutes to do these.
Well, free means a donation too for some people.
Now, a yearly reading is going to cost you, but this particular chart is not going to cost you. But I appreciate that.
All right. All right. Well, I want to thank Victorious. Thank you very much. That was lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to you coming through periodically throughout the year, especially when we have significant planetary events to come and give your insight and your knowledge and share everything that you know about that. So
maybe we can do this monthly.
It's much appreciated. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're talking about the Pluto return. It takes Pluto, the planet Pluto, 248 years to come back to where it was when you were born. None of us on this call will ever go through a Pluto return. None of us. I don't think any of us would want to, for that matter. Pluto is coming to Pluto, different than Uranus. Pluto different than Saturn. Uranus shakes shit up. Saturn push you. Pluto blows up. It just gonna blow everything up. So what I want to talk about today, briefly, is America's Pluto return. And y'all know why I say America, because after the Pluto return, she gets the A back. Until then, no, she don't get the A. America's Pluto return. Pluto will be dealing with America in the second house. Aspecting and dealing with Capricorn, and Saturn is going to be in there too at the same time. Now, Saturn is not on a Saturn return, but Saturn is going to be there in Aquarius. Pluto is going to be in the second house in Capricorn, and Pluto is going to be dealing with America's second house until February 2040.
Wow.
18 and a half years.
Ooh, honey.
The only way you can get off of this rock, honeybee, is to die. I feel you on that. It's not as individually bad as it is going to be for her. And when I say her, I'm talking about America as a country, as an institution, not necessarily the people. Yeah, we're going to feel it too. It's going to be an adjustment and all of that. But this is dealing with America, the establishment, America, the corporation, America. Second house, with Pluto coming in there and linked up with Capricorn, is dealing with the transformation of her personal assets. America's. When I say her, I mean America. Dealing with the transformation of her personal assets, financial affairs, and here's the most important part, and the ways and means of conducting government.
Can I ask you something? I already know the answer, but I just want to throw this out there. This has a lot to do with capitalism, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dealing with the transformation of her personal assets, financial affairs, and the ways and means of government, of conducting government, and governs. This is really key. Y'all, if y'all don't hear nothing else on this first part, hear this. And governs all movable possessions and wealth.
And assets.
So anything movable, gold reserves, oil reserves, whole ship full of cars, banks full of money. Hello? Transformation of her personal assets, financial affairs, and the ways and means of conducting government, and it governs all movable possessions and wealth. It's not a doomsday prophecy. It's not anything like that. Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles can see this shit coming. The bottom is falling out, which for folks who are on my side of the of the percentage. You know, I'm not in the 1%, I'm in the 99. For folks like me, I'm excited. I'm not afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of, first of all. There's nothing to be afraid of. You know why? Because fear is not going to stop Pluto from coming and fucking shit up. So you might as well not be afraid. You know, people who are afraid keep their eyes closed, fist balled up. They just wait. Ain't gonna be no big boom like a bomb. Open your eyes. Those people, those folks who have been on the less fortunate side of things should be excited about America's Pluto return. I tell you what, I am damn excited for my grandkids and their kids that they're going to have. Because what Pluto, in essence, is really doing here, now catch this when I tell you this, what Pluto is doing and what's going to happen in these 18 and a half years while it's jacking up the second house, it's ushering in equal access to the bag.
Can I mention something just so
Please
people are aware of when this Pluto return is going to happen? It's going to happen because it's right around the corner. Mm-hmm. It's literally happening February 2nd. Mm-hmm. So right now Pluto is in 26 degrees Capricorn. Mm-hmm. And on February 2nd, it is going to make its full return.
Boom.
On February 2nd. So pay attention to these dates, people.
Yep.
Because you're going to see a major transformation.
Major shift.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's going to be like, bam, like overnight. Like
it's going to be global.
Yes.
And can I point out one more thing?
Sure.
For the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are generational planets. So even though we're influenced on a personal level, depends on how Pluto is affecting or influencing your chart. But this is happening globally.
Globally, yeah. It's all across the rock. All across this whole rock. So I want to let us know what really is going on. We have Pluto and Saturn together with Pluto's transformative proclivities.
Okay.
Pluto and Saturn are different, and they're almost polar opposites when they're lined up together like this in the aspect that there will be on the second. Saturn asks and then teaches. Saturn is a taskmaster. Saturn is going to hold your feet to the fire. Saturn is where your karma is. Saturn is where your lessons are. And unlike most folks, every lesson that I learned wasn't difficult, wasn't hard. Some lessons were pretty simple, and I'm grateful for Saturn for giving me both the simple and the hard lessons as well. But Saturn deals with your work, your vocation, your job, the place and the ways and means of how you earn your money. That's what Saturn deals with. So, and then Capricorn, we know what Capricorn deals with. You know, Capricorn is some of the hardest workers in the zodiac. Capricorn's about that bag, about that money, you know. So you got Pluto. Think of a great big wrecking ball. That's what Pluto is. I was going to give another analysis, but it's too many women on the call, so I can't do that. But think of a great big wrecking ball hitting a watermelon.
I thought about a building because it came to my mind because I know that Saturn is all about structure,
Right.
buildings,
So
brick and mortar.
So think about this. Think about this. Think about, all of us have seen pictures of buildings being demolished,
Yeah,
buildings being imploded,
absolutely.
buildings after a hurricane, buildings after a tornado
An earthquake,
or earthquake.
that part.
Think about the biggest earthquake, the biggest tornado, the biggest tsunami, the worst hurricane, and add them all together and times that times 10,000. And that's what this Pluto return is going to do to the systems.
Absolute
Structure.
destruction.
And Pluto is different. Pluto come and blow shit up and say to you, Pluto blows your shit up
Fuck your
and
house.
says to you with an attitude, rebuild with the rubble I left behind. This time, get this shit right.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna come back. Because Pluto gonna be hanging out for 18 and a half years.
And it's going to remain in Capricorn until 2027.
Until 2027, 6 years. 6 years. I would suggest everyone look into alternative ways of vocating and incoming. Look to your gifts. Look to what you do. Honeybee, you make beads. Let's commercialize it.
And she a jack of diamonds. So,
And you're a jack of diamonds. You can market everything. Look
and she
to
can
your
help people
natural,
market their stuff.
look to your natural
Yeah,
skills, natural talents and abilities right now. Pick out one or two of them natural talents and abilities and let's make a run with it. Make a run with it. Because along with Pluto coming to transform Merica, because of the aspect of this transformation, it's going to transform each one of us too. Yeah.
It already has.
Yeah. Now would be a good time for everybody, whoever's listening to this. Now would be a good time to start thinking about how you're going to reinvent yourself. Because what a lot of people have been banking on, and a lot of these corporations and governmental windfall jobs, they're going by the wayside. They're going by the wayside. A whole new way of being and living is being ushered in with this Pluto return. And because America is the linchpin for the rest of the world, it's going to start a domino effect.
It already has.
Pluto. Now, Pluto don't destroy. People want to say, oh, it destroys them. No, it doesn't destroy because it doesn't just vaporize shit. It leaves rocks in the hole and all that. Pluto comes to wipe the slate clean in the only way possible that it can be assured that any of the horse shit from the last way of being and living ain't gonna be included. It's gonna be a whole new way of, it's gonna be a different version of capitalism. I'm not saying capitalism, I'm not saying capitalism in and of itself is going away. It's going to be a different version of it. It's going to be a more fair and equitable system. And that should please people who have been marginalized throughout America's existence.
Because America has a lot of karma.
And it's coming in this 222 year.
Especially to indigenous people worldwide.
So I would look at this as the beginning. It's going to be an accelerated process because there's going to be the fabric of the new way of being and living in America here by March 2023. So by a little more than a year, we're gonna see the new foundation start to be laid.
Can I say something, Mark?
Please.
We are already experiencing that. And we got a taste of that when Jupiter conjuncted Saturn, December 2020. And so it kind of laid the foundation, and it gave us a preview of what to expect to come for the future.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we can discuss this in your closing captions, but I just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, especially with the retrograde coming, whatever, I know some of us got projects, man. I'm in the midst of the most important project I have ever undertaken. And I get it. But now, especially through this upcoming retrograde, now is the time to go back to that thing that you know is your thing. Go back to it, revise it, throw out what is not necessary, add in what is necessary, whip that shit into shape and push it out. Push it out. What's the worst that could happen? Nobody looks at it? Well, hell, ain't nobody looking at it now because it's all in my damn head. The only one looking at it is me. So no more excuses for us. No more. No more. We have the opportunity to position ourselves so that when the new ground floor of America starts to be built, we can be moving up as they put layers on that ground floor. We rise up as long as we are on top of the foundation. Don't get caught underneath the foundation. You know, those folks gonna get caught underneath.
A whole lot of people are.
Yeah, the folks that are, oh, I want America like it was, and this is not the country I grew up in. No, it ain't the country you grew up in. Things evolve. Societies evolve. Empires rule, and then they fall, and then somebody else come in.
So what we're experiencing is a transfer of power right now.
A transition of power. Yes, Sharon.
I'm also thinking about Pluto returning to the second house, and
yes,
not will it be financial, but it also represents self-worth.
Yes.
So if you're having Pluto come around into the second house, so this is all of us. So that's social unrest at that. So it's just gonna be a mess because that's people's self-worth, and it's just gonna be
it's gonna be a mess because
started. I mean, it's been in the second house for a while. It's just returning in February, but
and we ought to look at
itself.
Somebody look real quick for me. Somebody look real quick for me. See what the aspect is with Mars.
Hold on. During that period, hold on. Let's see. Mars will be aspect Mars. Mars is going to be in the first house. Ooh. And it's going to be opposing, it's going to be 6 degrees in Capricorn as well. And it's going to be opposing the sun and the USA's chart.
Okay.
So
let me let y'all in on the secret about Mars. Mars is where all of your aggression and the fighting, your sexual fighting. Nature, your basic animal nature. That's what Mars deals with. What motivates you and angers you is Mars. So Mars being in the first house, the house of self. Woo! And then your money getting ready to get funny. She already is losing her luster and respect in the world stage. Next thing, somebody might as well come on over here and put their feet on the ground. What?
Well, China's doing that now.
What? What?
Can I say something else about Mars in that
Please do.
aspect?
Please do.
So not only is it going to be opposing the sun, it's also going to be exactly opposite of Venus and Jupiter. So these are both planets of plenty. And it's going to be at a standstill.
Yeah.
A seesaw effect, if you will.
Yeah, she going broke, y'all.
And let me say this because this is something that we're not talking about in this country. Also, Uranus is in Taurus. Again, you see all this Taurus energy, in the second house. Yeah, no, let me just say this because I'm a foodie. And one of my biggest concerns is that food is not going to be as readily available. And they're already talking about food shortages. I don't know if you guys are not paying attention, but go into your grocery stores and look at those shelves.
Yep.
It's a whole lot of stuff that ain't being restocked.
Yep.
And think about all those ships that are still sitting at the Long Beach port.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're doing this deliberately, but I'm gonna say something ain't right. So just pay attention to that. And if I can advise people to do anything, start stocking up on things. You can only store so much food at a time, but at least if you can get yourself at least a month or so food supply, because the shit's about to hit the fan, people.
So
did I say too much?
No, absolutely. Thank you for that. So again, for us individually, the ancillary influence, there will be a little bit of transformation for us in these areas, but unless you are born on the day America was born, unless you share their birthday, it's not going to be an individual. Now folks who share America's birthday, they're going to feel the same shit that America is going through. They're going to feel it. Especially the folks born around July 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or 5th. Round those dates. Yeah. You born in the early part of July, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Yeah, you're gonna feel not as strong as Mercury, because it's not a return for you, but you'll feel a little bit of it too as well. So yet what the end result is going to be, by the time Pluto get done with America's second house, I'll be pushing up on 80. So I will have gotten to a point in my life where I won't even give a fuck about nothing at that point. I'm just going to be wanting to just chill out somewhere with a cigar and a nice big old jar of milk. And those that know me, they know what I mean by milk. So we're going to leave that there too. But that's why I'm excited for my grandkids and their kids and then their kids after that, because by 2040, there is the America that each of us know and did the history about. They might even not even have that in the history book no more. The way that things are going, I believe that they're just going to erase all of this 248 years.
They're already doing that. They're no longer calling slavery. They're calling it indentured servitude.
Yeah. Well, when they start calling the transatlantic slave voyage a cruise, then that's when I'm really going to be done with all of this shit. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting time for the scale is getting ready to get balanced a little bit, and on the way to the scales balancing, some people are not gonna like the fact that the scales are balancing, so there's going to be some unrest, there's going to be some derision, division, all sorts of things, which is all part of the plan. All of us on this call, we just keep manifesting what we manifesting. Stay aligned with your higher self, your master self, and your soul vibration, and lock into your purpose. And you're just going to rise above the mundane level. We'll just be walking on top of all this stuff. I really, really, truly know and believe that that's just how it is. Once you tap in and align with your master self, you just rise up above all this horse shit that's happening in mundane society anyway. You just stop really even giving a fuck about it. You only care about the things that really matter to you. You don't care. I don't care what's going on in Washington, D.C. I don't care. I don't live there. I live in Nevada. I'm real concerned with what goes on here in Nevada. I'm really concerned with the city council and the school board here in Nevada. I haven't gotten up to the state senate yet, but I'm more concerned with the city because I live in the city. So I am going to get myself to a city council meeting here in the month of March.
Can I ask you something? You live in a red state, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to stay in a red state because I don't have to worry about flash mobs coming and robbing any stores down there on the strip, because Vegas police is not going to have that. We got some shenanigans with these young folks that like to sell guns, but that's a phenomenon that's going on all over the country. That's not nothing new. And you know, for all intents and purposes, it really hasn't been that big of a restrictive period during COVID for us folks here in Nevada. That's because the people in Nevada ain't taking that shit. That's why. And everybody in Nevada got a gun. That's why folks don't be running up on people too much over here, just like in Texas. Yeah, because they know you got to get shot. You got a gun, he got it. So with that, just have faith in yourself, dive into yourself, trust yourself, and trust the process of reinventing yourself. Get a head start on it. Take advantage of this Plutonian energy and allow the things in your life that are no longer serving you, allow them to get blown up. And just walk away from them rocks. Just leave whatever is not serving your highest good and whatever is not materially affecting your bottom line in a tangible way. Let that shit get blown up. Let it get blown up. Start marching toward manifesting only those things that serve your highest good and materially affect your bottom line. We're heading to a time of self-sustenance, folks. We're heading to a time to where you better know how to plant some shit in the ground and let it grow. You better know how to, if you need to eat some chicken and you got a live chicken in the yard, you better know what to do to get him from out of the yard into a pan. You better know how to do that. You better know how to put a worm on a piece of wire and go hang it in the water and get you some fish. You better know how to go pick some fruit.
Or grow some vegetables.
Grow some vegetables, grow some herbs. You better learn how to, you better have something that you could trade somebody else. Because the barter system is definitely
is about to be in full effect.
You better take one of your skills and be willing to trade it for something else. I give you 3 beaver pelts. You give me 2 rabbit's foots. Okay.
And people are going to start creating their own society.
What's that, Victorious?
You're going to see a lot of people creating their own personal society. So communal living is about to become the norm.
Yep.
We've been in Western society under this whole individualistic ideology, and most other countries outside of the Western world are not with that. They live in a more communal society. So with all of these planets that are getting ready to go into Aquarius, and then in addition to that, let's make plans to talk about this on one of your shows too. The solar eclipses that are coming up for this year.
Absolutely, those are big. Those
huge,
are really
because
big.
One of them is going to have a stellium with 6 planets in Aquarius.
6 planets in Aquarius. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's thing to jump off on
it's
that one.
About to crack.
Yep.
So the way that we have been living, we already feel, for me, I'm gonna just speak from a person, if you don't mind me just saying this, give me a minute. From a personal level, I feel like I've been in the twilight zone. And this is completely that Aquarian energy. And so imagine what that's about to feel like April 30th, when we have our first, I believe it's April 30th, when we have our first solar eclipse. What that's getting ready to look like for America. So if you feel like you've been in the twilight zone, wait till this next eclipse hit us.
Wait till this eclipse come. That's right. That's right.
Can I say hi, everybody?
Hi, Jolene.
I said I wasn't gonna drive, but I want to go home.
Okay, go. Get on home, honey.
I just want to say that for the last month, ever since I came back from New York, I've been nervous, and I'm not. I don't have anxiety like that, but I'm telling you, 85. I feel like 80% of I'm just full of anxiousness. Right. And I do not know why. I'm feeling something so different. And I'm thinking maybe, my daughter's pregnant. I'm nervous. We're in a pandemic. But then I hear all this kind of talk in several ways from different people. And it's like my body is feeling it. So I don't know if I'm an empath or I'm crazy, but I'm feeling something different.
You're both. You're empath and you're crazy. We all crazy. Everybody on this call is crazy.
This planet is driving us nuts right now.
Yeah,
it's all that 5G energy.
And you have to be very, very careful who you allow to feed into you. You have to be very, very careful because some folks don't have gracious intentions. Some folks carrying bad energy and they feed that into you, and that could be what is adding to your anxiety as well. So just be real mindful of who you're allowing to speak those things into you, Jolene.
Can I say something?
No, I don't think they're speaking into me. I think I'm seeing what's going on, and people are literally dying. I have clients who are sick. And it's real. This thing is real, and it's like I'm getting nervous. I'm just nervous though. I don't know what that is.
All right.
Can I address something?
Yes, please.
So what you're experiencing right now, I have gone through that for the past 2 years, to the point to where there were times where I was just like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Like, I don't want to say do something crazy, but it was just like literally to the point where it was overwhelming. So one of the things that I want to say, if you're watching a lot of news, stop.
I haven't paid a cable bill in over 15 years. I don't even have cable like that. I haven't had cable in years. I try to do the morning news, listen to the morning news. This morning I heard
careful with that.
I heard that Kamala, the vice president, comparing January something to September 11th.
We're not talking politics here though. We don't care about we don't care about January 6th. We don't care about what she said, what he said. We don't care.
But I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the movement of whatever you're talking about. I think it's corresponding to that because something big is gonna happen. It's all connected. I
believe it. I
believe it's definitely gonna happen.
I believe it's happening,
whether you like it or not.
It's already started.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
I don't watch TV. I write more so than anything.
Good. Well, all I was gonna say is just be mindful of again what he's saying. So for me, I was watching a lot of social media and paying way too much attention to the news, and so I just wanted to add that the North Node has been in Gemini for some time. And so propaganda and just information overload and just feeling like what you're feeling right now is highly associated with the North Node in Gemini. So I just wanted to point that out to you. And so it's literally in 29 degrees Gemini, and it's actually getting ready to transition into Taurus, like probably within days. So some of that anxiety is going to subside, but nonetheless, we're still going to have some anxiety that we're going to be dealing with.
Okay.
So I just want to point that out to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But it's in a very critical, and I wanted to point out the 29th degree because 29 degrees in any chart is very critical. The 29th in a 0 degree is very critical. So part of why you're feeling that anxiety is because it's at the end of its transit and it's letting loose and letting go and clearing all. It's like taking a good poop before it moves into its
Oh,
next.
okay.
If you're feeling that, and you're not the only one, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And Happy New Year for
Happy
everybody.
New Year to you too.
And Mark, I'm going to mute myself and shut up.
No, it's all good. It's all
Are you
good.
sure? Because I don't want to
Yeah,
say too much.
We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. This is interactive. This is how it's supposed to be. Anybody else want to add anything? Anybody else have any additional comments?
I do have one question.
Yes.
So you made a comment about making suggestions about future study.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you want-
That's where we're at now. So let me
So
close this. Let me close this part out, and then we'll get to that. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No worries. No worries. So really, this is a exciting time for America. If for nothing else, something new, a new way of being is going to emerge from this. And regardless of what your lot is in life and who you are and what you are, looking at what is going on and what has transpired the first 248, we should all want something brand new to start the next 248. I'm not saying America is going away or America is going to get demolished or anything like that. Could happen. I'm not saying that though. I'm saying a new ways and means of conducting government and a new way of access to personal assets, financial affairs is coming in. And for that, I'm grateful. Now, now I want you guys to think about this. You guys have been thinking about it. What are some of the things you guys would love to learn about numerology? Hold on, let me get a piece of paper, guys. Hold on. You can fire away.
I personally didn't have anything specific to, well, I do, but I think I'd rather talk about this off camera. But what I was thinking as far as, again, this is not for the class, but your platform is really doing an astrology. And I would like it to be an open dialogue.
Okay.
But that's kind of guided, you know, like Seinfeld was, like, you know, they had a script, but not really a script.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's probably for another conversation. So I'm a little wired right now because I'm a little.
I can tell. That's good. That's good.
But I don't have.
Means you are operating in your purpose. That's what happens. That's what it's just like. It's better than any drug or any drink you could ever get. It's a natural high that you will be able to replicate and repeat anytime you want. You'll feel like this every time. Every time.
I do want to say one other thing too. I thought it was really ironic that we started this call at the hour of Mercury.
Y'all should see me after I get off of here. It'd take me a good 30 minutes before I could even talk to anybody, man. I'd just be so high and fluttery and internally excited, man. When you line up with your purpose and you do it, yeah, there's no better high in the world. No better high. Honeybee, what you want to learn about numerology?
Yeah, I'm kind of open. I don't really have any specifics because I know a lot. I don't know everything, but
So if I just keep going down my list, it's all right with you?
Yeah.
All right.
But if we do have suggestions, can we just, you know, email you?
Sure.
Because I'm sure I'm gonna have something later.
Sure.
I
Sure.
actually do have some suggestions. but
Same.
I'll call things.
Sure. Sharon, you have anything specific that you would like to learn about or know about numerology?
I do. I would like to know more about numerology as it relates to relationships, not only intimate relationships, but like friendships and
Right.
family and things like that.
Absolutely. That is on the list. It is on the list, but I will move it up closer now. It's a little bit further down the list, but I'll move it up. It really is a very beautiful science when you could take the numbers of two charts and look at them and instantly see the compatibility. And compatibility to the master numerologist looks different than what it probably would look to you. So in order to get a report out that could capture that would be a intricate undertaking. However, it can be done. Absolutely. But teaching it will be very simple. Teaching it will be simple. That is something that is already on the list, but I'm thankful that you mentioned it. I will move that up into the next module. We left off at the planes of expression. I gave you guys the definition of each plane. I could go through 1 through 9 on those, or I could start the next module, which is dealing with pinnacles and challenges, houses and streets and buildings, marriage and relationship partnership, and auspicious dating. That's the next schedule. That's the next module that's coming through that I'll start. I think I'll just finish with the planes of expression. Might as well finish with those. And I'll go through 1 through 9 with those. Starting Tuesday, we'll get back into the numerology. Anything else, Sharon?
Yes, actually. So I just did the numbers for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't focus on the name because I don't know what name to put there. But their soul's energy is a 5, and their birth card is the Joker. So the Joker
United States is not the Joker. No. What date did you use?
I used July 4th, 1776.
5/4. July 4th? Yeah, they should be a jack of diamonds.
Yes.
That's a jack.
It's coming up Joker.
The Joker is only for December 31st.
Yeah, that should be a jack.
So okay, so I'll go back and do this again.
Yeah, they should be a double jack of diamonds.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually,
wait, a double jack of diamonds?
Well, no, not a double. They're not
July
Leo.
4th. Yeah, that would be a Leo.
July 4th is a Leo, right?
No, it's a Cancer.
Cancer. Okay, so not a double jack.
I'm a double jack of diamonds.
That's how I know.
Yeah, but the United States actually, if you actually see this,
the jack of diamonds, backup king of clubs.
Yeah, but they really are the king of diamonds because they really started signing that shit on the 2nd of July. Not the 4th.
I actually have that chart too.
Yeah.
So that would make them what, the king? That actually kind of makes more sense, right?
It makes much more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much more
Other astrologers that have looked into the actual birth date said that the actual other date, not the
yeah, the 2nd is the better date.
Because America definitely walks like the king of diamonds.
They are, yeah, absolutely.
Not no jack.
Mm-mm.
It's a king of diamonds.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're not the jack. Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, you said, Oh, so here's interesting. We'll talk about this later, but not only the king of diamonds, but the king of hearts.
Yes, that makes
That's
sense.
where that playful and that other
That makes sense. That's much more of the.
Way more sense.
Attitude of America.
Fuck your car. Fuck your house.
King of diamonds front, king of hearts back up.
That makes way more sense.
Way more sense. Way more sense. Yep. Does to me. Anybody else? Sean, you have anything else? I'm just.
No.
That's it.
I have a funny story. See, I'm not as knowledgeable as y'all, and so I take it like I'm learning. Like it's like a surprise. It's a wow thing. It's a new conversation for me. But Capricorn. So I always have a funny story because my life is always kind of funny. And so, okay, so I met this guy. He's a Capricorn, and we talked. And he likes to cook. And so, after a while, I let him come to my place. He made a beautiful, meal for us. He cooks really good, but he kind of messed it up he washed out his mouth in my kitchen fecal sink. And so that was it, because I told him prior, I get grossed out quickly. And I guess he didn't pay me no mind or he forgot, but I mean, I'm sorry. My friend tried to hook me up with him and I told him I'm not with it. That's disgusting. And so a Capricorn, he said, oh, this is a Capricorn, everything is a Capricorn. But I have another friend, he's nice and he didn't gross me out. He doesn't gross me out. And so I'm like, what the hell? So what do you think about that? When somebody comes to your house, welcome in, close to your house, don't really know you, just getting to know you. And you see him, because I went to the ladies' room, the bathroom for a minute because I don't trust him. So I just went to wash my hands out. And when I came out, he was doing that in my kitchen sink, literally washing his mouth out. And I had a sponge where I clean my dishes and dishes in the sink. Y'all speechless because I know it's nasty.
I'm gonna let the ladies respond. I don't have no comment on.
Well, I'm gonna just say this: not all Capricorns are created equal.
Yeah, I'm not like that. So because most Capricorns that I know are very meticulous, very organized, and
that's what he says. He's meticulous. He said when he goes in his house, he's like that, but he's not in his house. So I'm thinking he's gonna come to my house and think he's gonna do all that nasty.
No, so something.
That's that 7. That's that 7 right there.
So what I have to say about that is at the end of the day, we have to take into consideration, because even as an astrologer and having a background or studying in psychology, we have to take into considerations one's environment. So you don't know how that person was raised. So you can take any sign in the zodiac, and if they were raised in a ratchet ass environment, they're going to probably always respond on their lower side. So at the end of the day, you have people that are, because again, let me just say this. When it comes to spirituality and personal growth, we are all on different levels. Unfortunately, we live in America or in a Western society that puts us in this box, and it's a one size fit all situation, but it's really not. So for each of us, we all have our own personal blueprint on this planet. And for each of us, our natal charts give us some information and some insight to that. But we also have to take into consideration our age, our color, and the environment in which we were raised. So I don't think that has anything to do with a person's sign per se, more than the fact that it probably has more to do with the environment that he was raised in.
His nurturing upbringing,
and how he was raised. So
but I'm thinking how he was raised. I mean, you go to almost a friend. I'm not, and he, to me, what you're trying to. I just made a decision because I can't sit here and rationalize that he's nasty and that was it. Because if you see something one time, he's gonna do it again, and I don't want to be grossed out again. So
But-
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's
But don't
that's a done
associate
deal.
that to that person's sign. And I know we have a habit
Yeah,
of doing
don't-
that.
Yeah, it's not the sign. That's
Because you
him.
would have to actually sit down and talk to that person and understand and learn more about
Yeah.
that person
I
and
don't
how
want
he
to
was
know.
raised.
Yeah, I don't
Or
think.
you have the choice to just never ever talk to that person again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
I'm done.
at the end of the day, don't associate that with a person's sign or sun sign
Oh
or
yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. I
because that's
understand
where
that.
we start getting prejudice and that has probably more to do with his upbringing than
Yeah,
his
probably so.
environment. Yeah.
That's my
Because
little.
I don't want to, we don't want to bash people in certain signs because there are enough signs, and Capricorn definitely has a bad reputation. So, I think that has more to do with the upbringing.
They're idiots in all of the zodiac and idiots in every one of the numbers. So
And sometimes it's not their fault because, again,
Right.
we live
like
in
made
a
up.
system that miseducated us from birth. So it's not
Made up.
necessarily one of the things. Let me point out one thing too. Right now, Neptune is in Pisces and Jupiter is also in Pisces. So along with a lot of these negative or so-called not so comfortable aspects, we also have some very beautiful things that are going on in the universe. And with the two planets and aspects that I just mentioned, right now, this is also a time for us to learn to forgive, a time to be compassionate, a time to be open-minded, and a time to just open your heart to the possibilities of what the universe is presenting us with. So even though things feel and look really harsh right now, it goes back to what you were saying, Mark, focus on the positive because the universe is awesome. God is great.
And there's always yin and yang. There's always up
so
and
as
down. There's
harsh
always
as things are
high and
looking,
low.
we're at the end of a cycle, but we're also at the beginning of a new cycle.
one. Yeah.
So
For
there are
every
so
ending,
many positive
every beginning.
things that are manifesting in our lives right now. And, the most important thing that we can do, and I don't micromanage my life by astrology, but this year I'm going to do so. Mark, I know you do that. You don't make a move without consulting your chart. So for me personally, I'm going to start spending more time with my chart and paying attention to not just my monthly and yearly cycles, but also my daily cycles. Because right now we are in very pivotal times and, we have to make informed decisions.
Absolutely.
We have to.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I just went off on a tangent and, Mark, we're gonna have to have a show. We've got to carve out a show for myself because I got a lot to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what the
But
platform is for. That's
I
what
just
the
really
platform
want
is for.
people to focus on the positive. In addition to what's going on, I'm gonna say be mindful. And I'm also gonna say this too, pay attention to what's going on in other countries because it's just a matter of time before it hit this one.
Absolutely.
So be cognitive, and China told its people to stock up on food. I'm gonna tell you to do the same thing. Get you some canned goods, get you some food that you can reserve, and you got to get some of them products that you can throw in a backpack and survive in the wilderness. Get you some food. Stock up on water because food is about to become scarce during this next cycle. And I don't want to be a fear monger, but America is not talking about this. But again, a lot of our products and things come from China. And so for some other states out there, also remember, a lot of fruit and vegetables are grown here in America. Here in California. And a lot of our produce is shipped to different parts of the state. So again, I'm a Taurus, I'm a foodie, I love food, and it's probably one of the things that I'm very conscious about. People, just be aware. And I'm about to mute my mic unless people have any questions. I left my information in the chat again for people that want free, a free retrograde chart. So I'm going to shut up because Mark, I can really go on about this for hours and I have a lot to say.
It's all good. It's all good. So again, very, very, very crucial time for America as a establishment and as a country, and also very, very, very crucial time for each and every one of us with these with this first retrograde that's coming in about 8 days. Now is the time to start getting clear about that one or two things that you want to manifest for yourself that will serve your highest good and help you become more self-sufficient. Self-sufficiency should be the mantra for each one of us for 2022. If it is something that is going to move you closer to self-sufficiency, by all means, do it. If it is hindering your self-sufficiency, let it go. That's as simple as I can put it. If it don't make sense, it damn sure ain't gonna make dollars. Y'all feel me on that? If it don't make sense, trust your common sense this year. Trust your common sense, trust your intuition, trust yourself, and get ready for a new way and a new mean of being and living here where we live in America. This has been On the Sevens with Pfeiffer's B Metatron. I am grateful and thankful where we come to awaken, ascend, and expand. We do go through the 88 steps into your mastered self. And I guarantee you, if you keep coming back to On the Sevens with Pfeiffer's B Metatron, somewhere along the way, your master self awaits you. I love each and every one of you. Unlock the cosmic code of your name in your life and start happening to life instead of life happening to you. I am never saying goodbye forever. I always say goodbye for now. See you folks Saturday.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.